Hi, everybody. My name is Melinda Talavera, and for the urban hike assignment, I went to Little Saigon. We will go over the everything that I saw, heard, tasted, smelled, and felt. Little Saigon is located right on the border of the cities of Westminster and Garden Grove, California, in Orange County. Um, as you enter the city of Garden Grove, you will see these two signs. The first one's a little bit blurry, but it says Welcome to Little Saigon, City of Garden Grove. And then this one that's a little more clear is the one that you see when leaving the city of Garden Grove. Little Saigon is super accessible. It's right off the 22 freeway. Um, and you'll immediately, when exiting off the freeway, you'll see these signs. For the demographics of Little Saigon in the 1970s, 1980s, there were many who were fleeing the conflict in Vietnam, and they settled in the Westminster Garden Grove area. Westminster has a Vietnamese population of about 38%, and Garden Grove has a Vietnamese population of about 31%. This area is called Little Saigon. Saigon was the old capital of Vietnam, and they call this area Little Saigon because it is the largest Vietnamese population outside of Vietnam. So in LA and Orange counties, there are about 244,000 um, Vietnamese and Vietnamese Americans. What did I see? This is one of the many shopping plazas that line the main streets of Little Saigon. This one is particularly on Brookhurst. It's called the Garden Grove Shopping Plaza, and you'll see that there are many cafes and restaurants um, and snack shops, traditional stores. The reason why I go to Little Saigon is for Skylark Nail Supply. It's one of the biggest nail supply stores in the area. During the pandemic, when nail salons shut down, I always have my nails done, so I took it upon myself to learn how to do my nails on my own, and I got really into it, and it was my COVID hobby. So I always have my nails done, and when uh this assignment came up, I was like, oh, I know I'm gonna go to Little Saigon. I love Little Saigon. I did actually go into nail to the nail supply store because I needed some things. So in this Garden Grove shopping plaza, we have, like I said, there are different Vietnamese cafes. There's a karaoke bar. There's a supermarket, Vietnamese supermarket. There's the nail supply store, and there are snack shops. This one primarily revolves around food places and restaurants and little like retail stores. There was one doctor's office. It was a doctor of Western medicine. However, the doctor was Vietnamese. And in other shopping centers throughout Little Saigon, you'll see a lot more Oriental medicine and Oriental medicine practitioners. All across Little Saigon, they're preparing for Lunar New Year, which falls in the second week of February. So all over, you'll see this was in the supermarket, in the How Bin supermarket, and they have a huge selection of Lunar New Year decorations and treats so everyone can start preparing. What did I hear? Of course, I heard a lot of Vietnamese. Vietnamese is the most spoken language in Little Saigon after English. And then after that is Spanish. Westminster Garden Grove has a high population of Latinos also. I went into the supermarket and I was browsing around getting a few things, and I was surprised by the amount of Hispanic families that were coming in and speaking Spanish because they needed different ingredients. I remember growing up, I don't live too near this area of Little Saigon. I'm more in LA, like closer to the LAX. But there is a Vietnamese supermarket by my house where I grew up, and my mom loved shopping there because their produce was always fresh and a lot cheaper than American grocery stores like Vaughn's or Ralph's. And a lot of the you could find things in Vietnamese grocery stores that you can't find in a lot of American grocery stores. So it wasn't surprising to hear Spanish in this predominantly Vietnamese area. Taste. So I went to a restaurant called Banh Mi and Chicali. They are a chain and they're super popular. My friends and I used to go to their Fountain Valley location all the time. As broke college students, they had some of the best deals on pho. Their regular bowl of pho was $3.50. So as broke college students, we went there often. The large one was only $6. This is an extension. This one's more of an express kind of restaurant. It doesn't have any areas to sit down. So they had ready-made lunches like grilled beef vermicelli or pork vermicelli. They had spring rolls and coffees and boba and banh mi's, which is the Vietnamese sandwiches on baguettes. And they were a full-fledged bakery. So what did I get? I got Vietnamese coffee, of course. It's one of my favorite types of coffee. It's so good. It's so sweet. It was perfect pick me up. Um, I also got their shrimp spring rolls, which are one of my favorite foods. That peanut sauce is so good. And then I tried something new, which was their ban cam, and it is a sesame they call it sesame balls in English, and it's made with the chewy glutinous rice dough, and it's deep fried. Inside, it's a um, sweetened mung bean filling. What I've noticed is a lot of Asian desserts aren't overly sweet like American desserts are, and just like Japanese feature a lot of red bean paste in their desserts, Vietnamese desserts have a lot of sweetened mung bean filling, and these were so good. They were like crispy little chewy donuts, so yummy, and they were covered in sesame seeds, and I love sesame seeds. What did I smell? Of course, you could smell everything that was cooking in the restaurant, and like I said, there were a lot of snack shops and coffee. You could really smell the coffee every time you pass one of the cafes. I went into the Haubin supermarket, and I don't know, but I can always just smell when you're in an ethnic supermarket. The smell is just different. I think the deli counter or in Spanish, the carniceria, the meat counter, the seafood counter, just permeates the whole store, and you can really tell when you walk in. And they had so many spices. So this was one of the reasons why my mom loved going to the Vietnamese supermarket when we were younger, was because there are countless options of spices that you can't find in traditional American grocery stores. In a traditional grocery store like Vaughn's, you'll find like the Asian section, and it's like 5 feet worth of shelf space. And here we had like three different aisles of just the different types of like pastes and seasonings to use for Vietnamese cooking. And what this supermarket and a lot of Asian supermarkets do, unlike traditional American supermarkets, is they have live seafood. So you can see the crabs in the tanks, and there were lobsters, and in these at the bottom there were mussels and clams and gooey duck. It was really cool to see. You could pick your own. It was awesome. And what did I feel when I was there? I went and I got to touch and feel some of the Ao Dai. As I said before, Lunar New Year is coming up, and during the festivities for Lunar New Year, um, Vietnamese and Vietnamese Americans dress up in the traditional silk tunics that are usually worn for special occasions, and they're called Ao Dai, and they're so beautiful. And growing up, neighbors and really good friends are Vietnamese, and their celebrations were awesome. Their weddings, I think they had like 7 daughters, and the weddings were spectacular and so awesome. And to see them in their Ao Dai is just so beautiful. The other thing that I noticed in Garden Grove was that there were a lot of Vietnamese Reformed Christian churches. The Vietnamese population here in this area is predominantly Christian and Catholic. There are a few Buddhist temples in the Orange County area, but in this particular space of Little Saigon, um, Vietnamese Reformed Christian churches and the Catholic Church is very popular, is what most of the residents practice. It was just really fun, really awesome to get to spend some time in Little Saigon. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And I really recommend you going to visit. Thank you.